Okay, we'll get started. At this time, I call this High Spring Budget Workshop to order. August the 20th at 6:31. At this time, let's have a moment of prayer. Most gracious God, again, as we come now to discuss the finances, the budget of the city of High Springs, we just ask you to lead us and guide us, and that we'll do everything that's well for this city. And just we ask you to continue just to bless us, have you like you have done in the past, God. So again, we just ask you for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, at this time, the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America
And to
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call.
Mayor Williams,
Yeah.
Vice Mayor James,
here.
Commissioner Jamison,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Lavin,
Here.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, again, this is a workshop for the presentation for the remainder of the budget for 2021 budget.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, we need to
Yes.
also add parks on there because we made changes at the last one and carried it over to this meeting.
Yeah, so if we want to do that one first, the Parks and Rec.
Okay. What
And-
pages?
Parks and Rec is, we have some adjustments to the revenues, which is page 3. And we have some to expenditures, page 31.
Okay, we don't have a page 3.
If you have a new one, a new copy, it's 46.
Oh, did it change?
Yeah. If you have a copy of the new one that you printed today.
Yes. Page 46.
Oh, it got missed. No, that's Public Works Cemeteries.
Okay.
It's page 31 for the expenditures.
The actual budget that you sent me today that I forwarded to everybody has Parks and Recs division on page 46.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
But some of us may have the old one. I don't know if everyone has the new one.
That must be what I have because mine's on 31.
Okay.
Well, I have the note. I have the old one. I can pull it up also.
Are we going to do Parks and Recreation first then? Is that the plan?
Yes, if we can, since that's old budget stuff before we go into new. And I also want to bring up a correction that we removed the $75,000 restricted money, which we should not have done. We should have asked you before because it is a commission restricted money. So I want to go over that after we do Parks and Rec and then before we move on.
So y'all have your old package?
Yes.
Well, these have changed, so that's why I wanted the new ones. I can,
Well, I got both. I have both.
you want the new one. If you have the new one, that's the one you want to use.
Okay.
Can you go, oh, I don't have a printed copy of the new one, and I got to look through most of it, but on page 3, Jennifer,
Yes, ma'am.
news change, could you go over those numbers? Because
Yes.
it's on the other computer and I can't get to it right now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to go over, Commissioner Lavin. So on page 3, which has the fees for, we cut those in half because we're planning on having just a spring season. If you remember correctly, y'all asked us to go back and adjust them.
Mhm.
So basically, the volleyball, the soccer, the general sports income, and the sponsor fees have all been cut in half.
Say that again, please.
The volleyball, soccer, general sports income, and sponsor fees have all been cut in half.
That's page 19 of the one that was sent out today.
Okay.
Oh, I know why, because I know why now the number is because I have all those other tabs that I don't normally send y'all to the very end. So you have graphs and everything. Is that correct?
Yeah, I pulled those out because they still had the last year's stuff
Yeah.
on it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, we're with you now. Page 19.
Okay,
Right.
so you see the changes for the revenues, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if you go to the next page, at the very bottom, you see Wild Spaces prior year.
Yes.
Damon, if you want to chime in here, we made some adjustments when he started getting some realistic amounts. We had to up the prior year amount, and this prior year, currently we have, and this is before July, August, and September's payment, we have roughly 350,000. So the prior year balance is covered. So this is going to be, and you'll see
ahead,
that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
That you will see the expenditures, and Damon, you want to, when we get to expenditures, you can talk why they went up.
Okay, well, just as far as Wild Spaces, is that what you were saying,
Yeah,
Jennifer?
About
Okay, Mr. Mayor, currently right now with Wild Spaces, we currently have, I think, roughly $430,000 currently right now, which we have in Wild Spaces. Dave and myself, Mr. Mayor, we looked over the sports complex and the Memorial Park, the 2 projects that were agreed upon with the commission, with the FERDAP and the land conservation as the capital outlay. We went ahead and we ended it up 800,000 combined. That is with the land conservation and the FERDAP. So we're looking at roughly spending an additional $180,000 that we are adding out of Wild Spaces money to go to those 2 grants. The Memorial Park project for the new property that we purchased a couple years back for the new ball field that will also include parking, signage, and also scoreboards, as well as the all-inclusive playground at Sports Complex. That is going to come out to a total roughly $230,000. We have to only match 70,000. That is the grant, but we understand it's going to cost much more than we anticipated for the all-inclusive playground as well as the Memorial Park. By crunching numbers this past year, that's what we're roughly looking at right now. We plan on breaking ground within the next couple months as far as the all-inclusive playground at Sports Complex.
So Damon, the total on the all-inclusive playground then is going to be the 230,000 and 160 is coming from Wild Spaces and 70 from the FERDAP. Is that correct?
That is
Okay.
correct.
And then Memorial Park, we're doing ball field or fields, and what kind? Are they baseball, softball? Does it matter?
It doesn't matter. One ball field. We're going to
Okay.
do one ball field, Mr. Mayor.
And how many parking places? Because we definitely need that. That's a great addition to that park. Do
The
you
engineers
know?
are currently working right now. I don't have an exact, but you're absolutely right. I mean, parking is sometimes that we oversee, especially in the Parks and Recreation world. Yeah, but that is something we currently have Paul Stressing. He needs engineering and he's our architect as well. So we're hoping to sunset that of June of 2020.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And may I add real quick, as far as the all-inclusive playground and sports complex, we're hoping within the next couple of months, we are this close right now to getting everything in order. And we're hoping, more than likely, we're going to probably be spending roughly $190,000 within the next couple of months to go ahead and get that going. We have roughly a year to get that complete.
Damon, where's that going to be placed?
Sports complex at the, it's kind of in the parking location, and it's right next to our 6U field.
Okay.
By all means, please come on out. I'd love to show you.
Okay.
We've taken our time. We've taken our time here over the past year.
Well, we're excited to see the Memorial Park portion of it. A lot of people have been waiting for that, so we're really excited about that too.
So, Damon, you want to talk about some of the expenditures we cut, or you want me to, either way?
I'm sorry, what was that?
The expenditures we cut out of the operating portion, we added to the capital outlay, but we did based on not having two full seasons.
Yeah, we've obviously it's here. We've cut some of the fuel, and also with the uniforms, et cetera, from what you've seen, and
Repairs and maintenance.
Yes, as well as the maintenance as well.
I don't see anything in there for trees this coming year. There was a large amount that was for year to date. Are we not going to need to do any tree work, Damon?
I think we're pretty good with trees. We went ahead and did a very extensive job over at Walter Howard Park and as well as Memorial. I think we're good for at least another year or so. And as a matter of fact, we use Wild Spaces money for those two projects.
Okay, and then the utility services, is that your utilities for the actual structures that you're in charge of? Have we given enough money there? Because we're year to date at 12,823 and we're budgeting 12,000.
That we actually, Damon and I talked about that today. We're reviewing to make sure things that were charged to the right one. This seems high, so we're looking at that. It's funny you say that because Damon's like, look at this.
Okay, thank you.
So those are the changes to the Parks and Rec portion of it. The other is from last one is the 75,000. Now, in order for us to get the budget to balance, we had to take some things out that would either we're going to have to do the 75 or we're going to want to do these other things. And the other things are Kevin and his position. And then some of the training for police department and training for fire department is the major chunk of that money. So those are the kind of offsetting things. So it's going to have to be a determination of what do you all want for the next year?
Say that again, please, Jennifer.
Okay, so, you know, every year we put the $75,000 in the restricted money. Well, when we did the budget and we presented it, we already took it out, and we're employees. It is the commission's restricted money. So you guys have to make the decision. Now, one of the things that I would also like to put out there is I have started seeing now, not that this, I'm hoping this is a trend that the state money is starting to come in, that if you remember at the last budget meeting, I said that I under budgeted revenues by 80 to 100,000. So if we do see those, we could still potentially put that 75,000 back if you choose to go with, so it's that little position, the fulfilling the police department's school resource officer. It's the facility person going from 80.8 to a 1.0, and then the PIO position. And then some training and travel for fire department, police department. We have gone through this, and it's just been really tight this year. I'm gonna tell you, fire department, police department are really not happy with me right now because they need that money. If there's mandated stuff that they need. So anyway, that's what we would have to do.
So how
So
much,
if we've had changes to the police department one, which we talked about last time, and part of Kevin's position was on city manager, we should have those things on the agenda again tonight, because I feel like we've missed a step here, that we had those discussions and now it's been changed. And I only had 20 minutes to look at it this afternoon. And I didn't review those numbers on those particular departments because I thought we had done that.
Well, the reason why those were the ones, it's because those were the new FTEs that were brought up, that not everybody, were felt like we should be adding staff. So since that was the new part, that is where we took it out of.
and that account you're speaking about, that reserve account, how much is in there now?
I think it's 730 maybe. If you give me a second while we're talking, I will look that up. But we've definitely added to it. And one of the things that I had, because of all that was going on this year, we said that, that could potentially not happen, but it did. We did go ahead and add that 75,000.
Okay.
Jennifer,
this year?
I have that number in front of me. Do you want?
Oh,
me to
that'd be
give that?
great.
739,297.00.
Yeah,
So Jenny, help me, Jenny. So basically this man was putting that fact like a reserve, something for an emergency. If something came up that we needed to
yes, sir.
pay. Am I
Correct.
putting this correct, Jenny? So I'm trying to see what I'm trying to get with him. So 739,000 as we speak now. Some the numbers. So any kind of way, so it's for emergency. If something come up, am I correct? So is any kind of way we can come up with something, say, okay, I want to say that we can maybe put this money in later, or if we don't be able to put it back in there.
Well, it was passed by resolution, so that's a policy. So the commission could make a motion to just put it in at a later date instead of at the beginning.
Okay, we'll have to do that at a regular meeting. We'll have to bring that back.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You could do that when you adopt the budget on the first hearing,
Mm-hmm.
or you could do it at the next one, at the next meeting prior to the first reading of the budget hearing.
Jenny, can they direct us to do that but not approve it until the first reading?
They can't make any motions or do any action at a workshop. At the next meeting, they can direct you then to proceed with the budget without the 75, that they'll waive it. So then you can present the budget
Okay.
without it.
Okay. That's just a thought, because we are I won't say we're financially hurting, but we just don't have the income that we usually have coming in. And it's all because of the virus. That's if you understand where I'm trying to go here. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
excuse me. I guess I would concentrate on what we just said there is we don't have the money and these are unique times. I'm not going to change what I said before. I don't think we should do the PIO position right now. Keep it as a contract. Raise them a little bit. I don't think we need to put it in there because you start doing retirement and you got benefits in there. I don't think it's the time to add new positions. He's doing the job now. I understand he can do a better job. This is nothing towards Kevin at all. I just don't think at this time, unless it's like when they talk about essential services, that's what you hear throughout this thing. I don't think we should. I think it's the wrong message. We're saying that we're not sure of how much money's coming in, but yet we're willing to fund a completely new position. And I don't think that's good policy to do. The current policy on the reserve was put in place and it's supposed to go to $1 million. We can set it. We can put it at 50,000. We can put it at 40,000. I'm looking at it here and reserve amounts shall be established annually. So we don't have to do away with it. We can reduce it down to 40,000 or 30,000 need be to cover. I think we just need to be careful on the decision. I appreciate what Kevin does. This is on the deal. He's doing a great job. And I would, on the other positions we're talking about, I'm not going to waver and doing the deal. I think we need to look at them, and I know they did, that we need to look at essential 6 months from now. Things are changing. Okay, then I have no issue. I just am hesitant about adding new positions during this time. Thank you.
Does this mean we will lose what we have currently to communicate with the City of High Springs residents?
What's the question again?
Does this mean that we would lose the Facebook that we currently have for the residents of High Springs that currently Kevin manages?
He's
We would
he's
not
contracted.
lose it.
We should.
I'm sorry, what?
You would
No,
lose
we
it.
will not lose it. Someone else would have to manage it.
Do we
But it
have
was
someone else
also
to
the
manage it?
point.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What do you mean somebody else has to manage it? He's contracted. What is changing? He's
Oh, I
contracted
mean,
now.
if we didn't have him anymore.
Well, he's contracted. Is he not going to do the contracted anymore?
I'm not sure if it
We're
will
not
continue after.
dismissing him. I'm just saying, keep the contract where it is and let's see where this COVID thing takes us. I think he does a great job. Don't get me wrong. It is.
I understand.
I'm just saying, we're not doing away with it unless he sits there and says, I'm not doing it any longer. I'm saying stay status quo. He's doing the job.
So where are the contracted funds coming from? What budget, what department are they coming from, Commissioner Jameson? The other piece here was not only the communication, but a hopeful reduction on the IT side, that not having to call Emerald Data every time that something needed to be done. So on that particular position, there might be a wash, but where is that contracted money coming from for his position at present?
Jennifer?
Well, if we would have to put money in.
No, currently, right now, where's it coming out of this budget?
Oh, city managers.
I'm good for what you guys are doing. That's my personal opinion. I'm this one here. So I mean, but if we're going to not fund it this year, then at the next deal, I mean, you guys could do a consensus. We could do a consensus, and then on the next budget, you could put it in there to basically table the reserve for this year. Jenny, tell me if I'm wrong, but you could do it and basically table it, not fund it this year, and then next year it would automatically,
Well, the
reactivate.
commission certainly has that choice.
right. So I mean, I'm just voicing my one opinion. You can put it on the budget. You can put it on the agenda at the next meeting. But I know, Jenny, give me if I'm wrong. I mean, you can do a consensus type of thing in this workshop to where they would have an idea as to whether or not to sort of put it in there, not an official, but you could do like a consensus so they could then work the budget with the number or not the number, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Not a vote, but just a consensus.
right. Just a consensus. And then that way, at least they'd have guidance on how to proceed going forward.
So I have to be honest, I'm really confused because now we're talking about changing what we discussed at the last budget workshop in a different parameter and eliminating positions that we've already discussed, I think from the police department and the city manager's budget. I know that we're going to talk about fire tonight. It's just confusing to me. I feel like we're changing midstream. And so we maybe need to have the discussion tonight again about city manager and police to be sure that that's what we want to do if we choose to hold the contingency, that this is what we're doing. If you don't mind, if we could go back over those departments that would have a cut to a position that we discussed last time.
So it would be the PIO position, if you remember, the facility person is only 0.8. We wanted to make that a 1.0 because of the cleaning and all of that of all the buildings with COVID and all that. And then the other was the school resource officer has been at 0.75, making that a 1.0.
And is that the one that was going to be the supervisory position, Chief Shepherd?
Yes, it is, and we cannot afford that cut. We have to have a position to back our schools up for the school resource officer. It's something we cannot cut. That position, I believe, Jennifer can correct me if I'm wrong, is only 25% for coverage because we're taking a part-time position, migrating it into a full-time position. It is a position that's been funded through the funds from the school board because of the amount of money that was given to us from the previous school board. So we cannot afford that cut in that position. I can just relay that to you. We can't properly run the schools to back up. It's mandated by law for us to have someone at the school. With COVID-19, if that SRO is sick, it is very hard to have someone there at the school.
And if I remember correctly, they have specialized training that not all of your officers have. Your street patrol officers do not have that specialized training. Is that correct?
That is correct. And just a reminder, COVID-19, we're first responders, so we're the first ones to interact with folks. So we've already had 7 officers that's come in contact with a positive person that's COVID-19 positive. They've had to stay home for 14 days. That puts stress on the management and supervision of our agency. So we're anticipating more people, more of our officers will contract it or be in contact with it, and there'll be staffing issues. We can't put our patrol folks in the school, and then we have a shortage on patrol because sometimes we have only 2 or maybe 3 officers on patrol, and they need to respond to calls with the adequate backup. So.
Let me say, I absolutely agree 100% with Antoine, and he's doing the right thing because he's correct within the Parkland, and I'm the one that oversees a lot of this for the school board, and you have to have a backup. I have no issue. That's an essential position. That's all. And I would agree with you that you got to have it because if the one guy's sick, the state's not going to sit there and say, "Oh, that's okay, don't have one." 100%. I have no issue with that. It's got to be done.
And if you're taking a 0.8 to a 1.0 full-time or full-time person as compared to 0.8, that's not going to fund, even if we deleted that, a PIO, right?
Correct. There's 3 different positions and 2 of them already receive benefits. So the police officer and the facility person already receives them. So it would be just a smaller portion of.
Okay.
So let me get this straight now. So basically, it's just the 75,000 plus the funding.
Yes, sir. That is a commission mandated that we fund it. And as Commissioner Jameson said, it has to, I guess, has to be something, but I think it does state the 75. Doesn't it, Jenny? Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought.
I mean, I've got it here in front of me on the deal. I mean, annually until it reaches $1 million.
Right.
But it says the reserve amount shall be established annually for the next fiscal year during the budgetary process. So, I mean, I'm sort of like critiquing my own type of deal. We automatically put it in, or I mean, took it out, which we couldn't do. Okay, it happens. All I'm saying is I think when you start adding, my whole point is on this one here, when we're adding positions during this time, unless they're essential, that's just me. I think it's the wrong thing to do now. 3 months from now, thing works, I have no issue. That's my only deal. We want to cut this down to fund some stuff, and we can basically legitimize it. I'm good.
Well, first of all, I do believe that the positions are necessary, and I mean, you guys are saying the PIO isn't. The PIO, there's a lot in the background that helps all of us in the city. And the IT part of it that will help, because part of that money is going to be a reduction in Emerald data, almost half of it. So I personally think that all three of those, adding to make those 2 full-time and then the PIO position. But I'd also like to add that if, as I said last budget meeting, when I got the amounts from the state, I underfunded the state money. Now, I did it based on what I was seeing historically coming in for us. But again, I am starting to see, and I said this last time, I am starting to see the money go up. Could we not say, okay, the difference of what is budgeted versus what we actually get, because we don't have to make that transfer until we can make it on September 30th of 2021. Can we say whatever comes over in those, and I've highlighted them, except for the wild spaces, we can't use that one, but there's 4 funding sources that if whatever goes over, that goes in the restricted.
Can I ask a question, Jennifer? When we discussed the comprehensive plan and doing that expenditure, wasn't the contingency part of that discussion? And we have this big budgetary item this year as a result of that discussion to
Okay, yes, we did talk, but that's the contingency. There's 2 different things. There's restricted and then there's contingency. And we use the contingency for the comp plan and for the repairs. This is the one, this is the actual amount that would go into that bank account. So if you look on your general fund, the very first page of general fund revenues, ad valorem and all that, there's some highlighted areas. There's the local option, there's the half-cent sales tax, and then if you go to the next section, there's the state revenue sharing. And then the 4th one is the culture and recreation, which that's SWAT Spaces money. But those 3, and even potentially the tag commission, because we are getting the people back now. You know, we underfunded that by $16,000, and that's grown every year since in the last 6 years, it's grown every year, especially since we started taking credit cards. I'm just putting that out there.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
my concern is that I think it's been a huge benefit, necessary in my opinion, for us to make available to the residents of High Springs the information that they've been getting since we've been going through this process. Prior to this new Facebook, we didn't have this kind of information. They didn't have an area to go to find it out. It wasn't there. And they've already complained that they don't get newspapers. Some of them, I don't know. I just feel like if we go backwards from this point, it will hurt us in the long run in more ways than just the IT portion of it.
Yes.
And if what Scott says is that he's under contract, that what we have now is what we would continue to have, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to lose what we have now. And if after the first of the fiscal year, beginning of the fiscal year, Jennifer sees more coming in, we can reconsider it. But that's my concern, is just losing what we have right now.
Can I interject for a minute?
Yes.
You know, everybody's talking about his contract and things like that. I've been working with Kevin for the last 10 years. Kevin was a volunteer with the fire department, helped us establish our Facebook page, helped us do a lot of things within the department. The thing everybody's missing right now, he's doing this contractually, but Kevin does have a full-time job around that. I don't know how much longer we can keep going to this well, continue to get what we're getting out of the service, and him maintain the duties between the two. It's honestly, it's wearing him out. We're both doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Other city employees are helping as well. There's a lot of information passing through between the stuff I'm dealing with on the EM side of my job, the COVID, we got hurricane season, we got websites, we got Zoom meetings and technology. We're going crazy right now. And him trying to do this contractually, plus a full-time job, plus dealing with myself, plus dealing with, Parks and Recs, the city manager, and trying to get this information out there. I don't know how long we're going to keep to be able to go to this well before it gets to a point that this contractual position is not going to be feasible.
Okay. So Jennifer, you said there's a possibility that we might have a little bit more money than you expected. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. There.
Let's say. So again, can some kind of way in the next meeting, Jenny, help me here, we city manager, we can vote on something saying, as you say, whatever amount that don't come, we don't get. I don't know. And then also, did you say something about training? It's going to take some of the training away if we take.
Well, we'd have to. We used that as examples. We all of our budgets are at the bare minimum.
Well, I understand what else. I'm fine with my training, but with the police department and
yeah, that's the only body that's basically the only departments that had training left.
Yeah,
we'd already taken it out from everybody.
Yes.
I mean, just to give you an idea, the fire department took an 80% decrease in training. I got a building department with no training in it that has a new building official coming in, a permit tech that needs training. I have a planning department that has no training in it with a person that was hired part-time as a planning tech that's assuming a lot of planning duties and reporting to the North Florida Planning Regional Planning Council. So these reductions are really going to hurt next year.
That's one of the things that I was going to bring up on those is we can't not give the training. It's critical. It's going to cost us more not to have the training, and those were ones I had highlighted. So I'm not in favor of cutting those training budgets that drastically.
Need to cut into it because I have training in sewer that was cut to zero, and I'm training a guy right now. So training is very important for water and sewer. We have to have licensed operators at these plants. And if I don't have any training, and then as you all know, I'm leaving 2021 June. So you're going to be left without any operators. They'll all be contractual service, and I don't think you want to go that route because then they don't own your facility like I do. But yes, it's very important that we have the training travel in our budget too.
Yeah, I think Ronnie, on yours we kept that because yours is a separate fund.
No, mine says zero on sewer. I went from 1,000 to zero.
Oh, on sewer, yeah.
Water, yeah, water, I'm fine, but I got it. I'm training a guy in water and in sewer, so I need my money. I don't know how else to say it. I can't go to zero when I'm training somebody right now. I don't know what line I would pull it from.
So let me make a comment, then I'll be quiet. We can do what you wish. And this is just a blanket statement. If we would have followed the policy, the $75,000 would have never been removed. Somehow we would have had to do a budget. Because the $75,000 shouldn't have been moved. So we're what-ifing and doing all this stuff, but it should have never been removed, and the budget that should have been brought to us wouldn't have had it in there. And we would have had to adjust the budget accordingly. So all of a sudden now we're saying we can't do it, but we would have had to have done it, or we would have come back and said, we got to raise this fee more or something. That's all I'm trying to, on the procedural type of thing, is we're acting like we just took money away. We didn't take any money away. It should have been there, and the budget should have been done in that manner. Now all of a sudden we're saying the $75,000 is make it or break us. It was never there to begin with. If we look at it, you would have had to find other methods to fund it. That's all I'm saying on the deal. So look at, I understand it. And if everybody wants to go on the deal, look at, I'm not gonna sit here and say, don't do it, folks. If we want to do it, I agree on the training. I'm 100%. I'm conflicting myself. I know I'm contradicting myself. I get it. All I'm saying is we're making this big deal, and had the money been there like it was supposed to have been, we wouldn't be having discussion, because you would have had to have found a way to pay for that in the initial budget presentation. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm good with whatever the council as a whole decides. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing it. I agree with people as far as the training. I'm not disagreeing with it. But I want it to be essential people, because we don't know. We heard it last time, and we've already heard it tonight. We're anticipating. Well, that's a heck of a way to set a budget in my mind, is if you're going to say, I don't do that in my home budget. I'm hoping I'm going to have this money, so I'm going to go ahead and spend it. That's not the way I do budgets. I want to know what we have, and I want to be able to spend it without having to say, dang it, we didn't get enough. Well, then what do we do? So I'm open to whatever. I'm the deal. You guys on the thing, I'll go with you. I've said my piece. I appreciate it. And I thank Kevin. On this deal, I thank Kevin. I'm with Antoine. I'm with you on the training. Bruce, I'm with you guys. I'm just saying the process on the deal. Okay.
Okay. So we know it shouldn't have been taken out. So what we need to do to fix it? That's the question now. What we need to do to fix it, and that we can have a balanced budget, and we don't have to be guessing, Jennifer.
So let me, so what, and I guess I'm going to kind of direct this at Commissioner Jameson. So if we had used the projections from the state, that would fund it. I didn't. We chose to be less because of the unknown.
So-
Most people, cities, counties would use the projected state.
Okay. So you said you're anticipating that you only did 80%. Well, then how much more money are you expecting to come in?
Probably about $70,000 to $80,000.
Okay. So you're good then.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe I didn't make it clear the last time, because
So here's the deal is you don't take the money out. The money sits in the deal. You're expecting the $75,000 to come in. If the $75,000 doesn't come in, then it's an emergency. And we allocate the funds at that time to pay for it. We don't do it up front because we don't know it's an emergency now. If we get into December, we get into January, and the revenue is not reaching where we thought it was, and I believe you. Don't get me. I believe you. I trust you on that. At that point in time, you come back and say, look, The revenue didn't come what the state was projecting for us. It's the same thing we did on the contingency where we did the 60,000 on the deal. All I'm talking is on the procedural thing. If it's there, you're budgeting for these positions on expected revenue. Okay,
Yeah.
from the state.
Yes.
If it doesn't come in, that money, that $700,000, that 75 is there specifically for this reason. When we put this in, and I came in and we put it in there, it was for exactly this type of reason. We get into a bind and we put $1 million. So if something were to happen, we'd be sitting there in pretty good shape. It would always stay at $1 million. You would keep it at $1 million. When you keep it, then you didn't no longer do it. If you spent $100,000, then you would reenact it, you would re-implement it the next year to get it back to the $1 million. So I have no issue with that. What I'm saying, put the money in there, fund the positions, and if you don't, if the money doesn't generate, well, then the city manager comes back and says, look it, man, we've got an issue here, a problem. Then we're following the policy and we're following the revenue stream, so to speak. It's moving, it's a chess game. I understand that. So, I mean, I would propose that sort of like as a consensus deal. I don't have any problem. Go ahead and fund the thing.
Okay. And one of the reasons we didn't fund it because I think some of the commissioners thought some of the revenues were a little bit high. But we do have documentation that shows the projections.
And use those projections and add that revenue to where it's in the deals and you can justify these positions. I got no issue with it. If things run dry, Rodney comes back and he's in there and I'm not doing this. He comes back and the training on the sewer deal. And believe me, I understand that. If it's an emergency and he comes in, that's why that money's there. It's for emergency spending. I have me personally, and I was the one that was basically not doing everything. We got this thing in there. I have no issue with doing that. Then we as a commission get to decide whether or not it's an emergency. And then we allocate the funds. That's why they're there. So I would suggest use your new revenue that you're figuring it, use that money, keep the positions in there from the revenue expectations that you're saying, keep the 75 in the deal. And if it doesn't work out, just like what we do on the comprehensive plan thing, it wasn't there. What did we do? We went in and took the money out. That's what it's for. That's what I would propose going. We can't vote on anything. I would propose going forward. Use the new revenue funding that we have to fund these positions. And if it doesn't work out, if it hits the fan, that's exactly why this money is there, is to buffer us when difficult times occur. That's what I would suggest.
And I will say on the comprehensive plan, we did not take the money out of.
I know it didn't come out of here when that contingency. I understand it was.
It came out of contingency. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was
But I
clear.
would put that out there to where the positions stay. It's just maybe a little bit of a movement of the money to where the process, we at the time would have the opportunity then to say, yes, this is an emergency. We need to move it. Maybe it seems like a minor point, but for me, it's not. I like having money in the bank. So.
And I agree.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, and I agree. That's what the purpose for that money, in case an emergency came, if a hurricane, whatever may have happened to the state of Hot Springs. We got the funds that we don't have to close the city hall down.
Well, think of it this way, Mr. Mayor. If we wouldn't have done the 75,000, we wouldn't have the $700-something in the bank.
No,
That's right.
no.
I agree.
So,
Started with 200.
so that's all I'm saying on this one here. If that's a compromise that the other commissioners, and we can't vote, there's no voting.
Yeah.
If we're okay with that, I have no problem, me personally, is taking the adjusted revenue, adjust the revenues for these positions. And then at some point in time, if something happens and we got to move some of that money over, to me, that's exactly why it was put in place, is for times like this.
Thank you. I agree. Any other commissioners?
Yes, I'm listening to you guys, and you guys are talking about this thing on a level up here. In my mind, I'm still thinking about it on the level down here, because you know as well as I do, when you don't have any funds in your emergency fund for existence. That's exactly when Murphy's Law is going to kick in. Exactly. And you're going to get stuck. And that's why I say I'm on the level down here. What are you going to do if you got nothing there and something goes wrong?
Well, Gloria, the only thing I would respond on that is the policy states that it's got to get to $1 million, but it also says that we have the opportunity. And I would say the mere fact that we have the opportunity to do the budget, we could screw this thing up on our own. It doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. What I'm saying is it says to get to $1 million, but it also says we can adjust it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You got to have something. That's where I'm coming from.
You'd have $700,000 basically still in the bank if you had to go get this money. We don't know if it'd be 75. It may only be 40.
Right. But you got something.
But you would still have 700,000, and the policy still says you got to get to $1 million. So next year it would be back in.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So we'll still continue to put money in, but if we need to get some money out, we can be able to get out. Because like we said, we got 739,000 in there right now. Yeah.
And I think what Commissioner Jameson is saying is that we wouldn't necessarily take it out.
Right.
But maybe not put the 75 in, or only maybe put 40,000 in.
Put a portion of it.
But a portion of it, yeah.
I'm with that.
That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry.
I'm saying you put the 75 in. You're telling me you're expecting $75,000 to $80,000. You said expected additional revenue. So you take that revenue and you fund these positions. If the revenue doesn't come in, then we go into this reserve and pull out the 30 or the 40,000 that we need to do to balance it out.
I think we're saying the same thing, but we're saying it two different ways. Yes, the 75,000 comes in this budget. It's budgeted.
Yes.
And the positions are budgeted.
Yes.
And I put in state's estimates on revenue. And there may even be a little bit to the bottom line for contingency. So not only restricted, but maybe contingency.
Correct. And if for some reason it's $40,000 short,
then we only put in 35.
Then that's why we go into the reserve when we pull it out. Yes, ultimately we would only put 35 in.
Yeah,
yes.
You wouldn't take anything out. You just would put less in. Correct?
I don't know. You're doing accounting talk for me right now, aren't you? You're going to show $75,000 on the budget.
I'm showing 75,000 on this budget.
You're going to show $75,000.
Yes.
And then at some point in time, if we got to draw something out, then you would draw money out of that into the appropriate line item to pay the bill. And if you pulled out 40,000, then you, in essence, would have only put in 35 for the year.
Correct.
Just show me the 75 in the budget so I can see it visually.
Okay, it'll be in there. The positions are in there.
Okay.
The revenues are in there. So
Okay.
I think the training goes back in. Bruce, Antoine, training's back in. Kevin, you're in, right? Everybody's in. That's a consensus of what you want to see the next time you see this budget.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
I just spoke for 5 minutes on this. I'm not saying anymore.
Okay, this just start. So, but I think that was the hard part.
Yes.
Good?
Okay. I think we're good.
Everybody in place.
All right, the next one is water.
It's on page 71 in the new one.
Thank you, Jenny.
What about the old one?
Page 54.
Thank you, ma'am.
So, on the water fund, if you remember, last year, we did a resolution that added $1 to the base rate for 1 year for water and for sewer. For the first 9 months in water, we made, and these are for repairs, excuse me, these are for repairs, maintenance. basically. For the first 9 months in water, it's almost $25,000. It is not in a separate bank account at this time because I kind of want to see where the direction of whether we're going. And then sewer has about 17,000. But the resolution is for 1 year. And currently we have the resolutions prepared to be in effect on October 1. So what has to happen with them is we have to notice the public when we are doing a rate change. So that goes out on the bills. When the bills go out in August, that notice will be on the bills. The meeting for the resolutions is the 10th. Jenny, is that October?
That's the first meeting.
In
It's,
October. In October.
Oh,
Because we can't, it's got to be at least 30 days. So we can't do it in September because we always do that second meeting before, because of the way the budget has to be read. So we'll do it the first meeting in October, which is fine. And then it puts it immediately in effect. And so the rates go out on the October bills. So that will be the cost of living. As I said, they are prepared. They will be presented in October. So the $1 goes away. Now, a cost of living is just that. It takes the rates and keeps them basically built into, so if there's inflation, that's what it does. It keeps the rates. Historically, we've never done that. We've set a rate, we leave it dormant, same rate, 5, 6, 7 years, then all of a sudden we got to raise them. So currently we only have the CPI, which should then help with inflation. But if we want to go and do something with maintenance, we may want to look at that again next year if we want to put that back. But to do an additional rate increase on top of the dollar right now, that would be a call for you guys. That's not how the budget would be. The budget would be just on the CPI. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. The dollar's got to go. The CPI, I would suggest that we do the same as the solid waste, and it's at 70%, not 100%, because we pay 70%, I believe, on CPI for solid waste. So I would match that. That would be my suggestion. That way it mirrors it.
Well, so water and sewer is going to be one resolution because the rates tie with each
Right.
other, and solid waste is its own. And I think it would be hard pressed if we're only getting charged 70% of the CPI, but we're going to turn around and charge 100% to our solid waste users. I think those definitely need to match. Water and sewer, probably I would agree that it would be the 70% kind of standard across the board.
The amounts that have been collected, this 25,000 for water, this 19 or 16,000, whatever number you gave us on sewer, you said that's not in a designated account, and wasn't that to be used for repairs or infrastructure replacement? Isn't that what that was for?
Yes, it is for repairs, and I can tell you, the sewer, Rodney, there you are. We already had what, it was $92,000 repair?
82.
Yeah, 82. So we've already, we had to, I forgot what it's called. Rodney can tell you what we had to do out
It's
there,
the
but
diffuser. It's what controls the air manifold. It's an important function at the water plant. It's it's like a giant fish tank. It's what supplies the air to the microorganisms.
Was that at the water
Yeah,
plant?
we're going to see a savings within this year just on electricity. Once they put it in, we're in such bad shape out there. When you go out there now, it's so quiet, you think something's wrong. Both blowers were running just to maintain 6 PSI. Now we have one blower running like you'll see it in the savings. I'm kind of glad to see this was done, because we're at the point where we're almost not able to process the sewer out there. So it was money well spent, and we'll see the money come back in savings alone on just the electric. That's it.
So Jennifer, they're gonna bring a thing to the deal. They're gonna do it for water and sewer CPI. Are you asking for us to give you guidance as to include a similar resolution on solid waste?
Yes, because we are getting a CPI, and I want guidance on what percentage. You know, I hear you, solid waste to me does make sense for us. If we're only getting charged 70%, for us to charge 100 or anything higher than 70 is, you know, I don't think would be fair to the customer.
The numbers you use for revenue don't include this CPI, is that correct? The numbers we're seeing on the revenue here?
No, we've just gotten so many new customers.
Okay. I think we need to build in an ongoing CPI so that we don't end up in that problem where we don't raise it for 5 years and then we do a big jump, because we have to, you know, we have to keep up with what the expenses are. And I think that graduated 70% of the CPI is a valid and fair and reasonable way to do it.
I agree. If you do it incrementally, it's not so bad. Every 5 years, you have to do it more.
Well, we can, on an annual basis, we can look at it too. If the 70% isn't, then you could, I mean, you could adjust it. I'm just saying the 70 because that's what we're charged on the sewer. So I mean, I'm not saying that that's in stone. Next year, you can look at the numbers and sit there and say, hey, look at, man, you know, we got to go 75 or 80, or we could drop it. I'm saying that would be an annual type of thing that we could adjust the CPI on, depending on what the previous year's action was. So,
and I believe that's how it's written, because that's how our contract with Waste or WCA is. Like, remember, he comes annually and asks for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he'll be coming this year. It's been 18 months.
I would like, and if there again, I'll just say this to the commissioners, I would like for the attorneys to prepare something for the solid waste also, using the 70%, and then we can adjust it that night if we want to, but at least we got it, or we can reject it, but at least it's there if we want to put it in.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea, Commissioner Jameson, and you know, then we can discuss it at a meeting where we could take action on it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I have a question on the water fund, the expenses, the salaries. Rodney said he's leaving us, which I'm not very happy about. And there's no longevity pay. Is there any kind of a payout that we need to be funding here since he's leaving us after a long period of time?
Yeah, and if you look down on the last page, there's contingency funds of 132,000. I'm not sure that Rodney, he might be taking that much home. But
No, it's not that.
I'm just kidding, you know that.
I've maxed out on the PTO, and then I have a little bit of sick time too.
So that's where that will come from, Commissioner Lavin.
Okay. Any other question on the water fund?
Yeah, there's another question that I had on the fixed assets. Jennifer, you've got on fixed assets 75,000 and 625,000, and when you go to the capital outlay, the numbers are different. So I'm confused about why that's different. You have machinery, equipment, and
This is CDBG. I have to go back and see if some of that CDBG might be, I will make a note to find out. Something might be machinery in there. I have to go back and look at the grant to remind
Okay.
myself.
Because the front page says 75,000 for machinery and equipment, the back page says 100. The
Yeah,
front page shows 625, the back page shows 630. And then could you tell us what those improvements are that are budgeted?
That's the CDBG, the water lines.
Okay,
And then they're doing, in that CDBG, I know part of it goes to parks. There's a couple of different things, but I will have a better answer, and I apologize that I don't, on those fixed assets.
okay. And then the other thing is I don't see anything on here about a well. We've been talking about a well for about 18 months and I don't see any movement. So I'm just wondering, there's nothing in this coming budget year for a new well. That's not part of this budget.
Well, when this went out, we hadn't gotten, Rodney has been working with Rural Water. We do have a cost on, and I believe that the city manager will be bringing it at the next meeting for the engineering. It's at a great reduction. I think it's less than 10,000 to do that. And so some of that contingency will be going towards the well. Because it's going to take, as Rodney can probably tell you.
I can get you all copies of this, and it's all done through Florida Rural Water rather than using the mid tower, which, I mean, I did the same thing with the peroxide pilot study. It cost the city about $5,000, which was a great savings. The description on it, they'll modify water use permit. That's about $1,500. The engineering design, $2,750. Prepare DEP permit application for new well construction. It's all here, and I'll get each and every one of you guys a copy so you can look at it. But I mean, this is the way to go with Florida Rural Water.
But it's going to be a process. So we've budgeted some money. We're just kind of waiting to see where we're going to end up. It will have to do an RFP for the process, and by the time that all happens, you know, it hopefully will be started and then will be finished in the following year.
I don't know how to stress it that I'm leaving. We need to do something with these wells or this city is going to be in trouble, because I can't even take one offline. When COVID started in March, well one, the pump went out. I had to get them in here. They pulled it out, and you just don't redo these. They put in a temporary one and it burned up the day after. And then I had to get them come back and they put another one. This all took about a month to get done, just to get a temporary one put in the ground. Meanwhile, thank God I had everything surge protected out there, because the wire got cut and it shorted everything out. We spent all day and all night long getting everything online. We never lost service, but then we ran for almost 3.5, close to 4 months on a well that's been in the ground since 1974. And you talk about an operator that was nervous for them 4 months. And then, like I said, right now, I got to go out there and take numbers off that well. And I listen, I hear different noises, and I'm thinking, you know, we got to have that third one. If we don't build a water plant, I can't stress it enough. We need to do something. We've neglected water for way too long. And like I said, I hope you are listening to what I'm saying, because everybody like Florida Rural Water, they're excited about helping us get this done. So I can't stress it enough. We need to act on it. We really do. And the city's wanting to grow, and this is one step closer to getting us where you want to be if you want to grow, because the next thing is going to be ground storage or another water tower. We just can't do it with what we got right now. I know they want growth, but Bruce can attest to what I'm saying. You know, his residuals are not where they need to be just to keep the insurance rates low in the city limits. So we really need to pay attention to water. I don't know how many times I can say it, but please listen to what I'm saying. I've taken great pride in what I've done here for the city. So all I can say is please, please pay attention to water.
And I will get the answers on your fixed assets, Commissioner Levin. Is there any other questions?
No, I just want to say thanks to Rodney, and I'll leave it then. He knows how I feel about the water stuff and what we've been doing for the last.
No, I'm just doing my job. I appreciate that.
Darn right
Yeah.
you are. No, I know you are, and that's the deal. But this has been something that we've been pushing. I've been pushing for the water thing here for 3 or 4 years. And so I would agree with Rodney. I mean, we're at a point now where the sewer was, we're beyond the point with water to where we need to move. And so it's not next week. It's not next month. We need a plan and we need it done now. So I would ask that the city manager, whatever we need to do, let's get the guys in here. We've been saying this for months now, years. So I would agree. Thank you, Rodney.
Oh, no problem. It's just a matter of time. 15 years ago, we could have a 6-inch water line break and we're fine. Now, if I get a 6-inch water line break, I could lose system pressure throughout the whole city, and that's just not good practice. You don't want to issue citywide boil water notices. Then the residents of the community, their confidence in what we're doing is not there where it needs to be. And I can tell you, we're used as an example with this pilot study in the peroxide, and then being out of compliance and being in compliance now. The peroxide's not a silver bullet. It's a lot of man hours. Like, we're out there flushing and you see that. It looks like we're wasting water. Actually, it's kind of cleaning house is what I call it.
Right.
But yeah, no, we're in a good spot, but I'm not going to be here and I won't be able to be a voice anymore. But yes, we do really need to pay attention to water, because this is a cool little town. It really is. I enjoyed working here.
The other thing, and Bruce, you can answer this. I've been told that, that whole commercial corridor can't even really be developed because we don't have enough fire suppression with the water situation. Am I correct?
Yeah, 441 is questionable. I mean, to say we don't have fire suppression out there is not accurate. I mean, we do have water. We do have water in the hydrants, but to put any real big buildings in there with sprinkler systems or a hotel or anything catastrophic, we're borderline at best at this point. We're getting to a point with some of these new subdivisions coming in that water is getting pretty scarce. So
Right.
There's a spot on 441 that's looking at being developed right now. I mean, it's going to be a stretch to get the 100 homes in there with the way we're looking at some stuff going on and some different way growth is.
So if we're not able to start this water project, we really need to be talking moratoriums on building, because we cannot continue to provide water under the stress system. Am I correct in my interpretation of that data?
And we got
Pretty
some
much.
time. Yeah, I mean, you're good. I'm not saying you're correct in your interpretation. I'm not saying we need to do it tomorrow, but we need to definitely keep a close eye on it, because we're going to get to a point, if we're not careful, that we're going to run out, for a lack of better terms.
Yeah. So let's the agenda in the near future, maybe we can put this issue on the agenda to discuss
Yes.
more in depth instead of trying to do it through it here in the budget.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think it's one of those areas we definitely have to get some visioning and some goals and some direction just all together and come up with a game plan of how we want to handle this.
Yes. Okay, anything else on the water? All right, Jennifer.
Okay, sewer. We do have the $1 million grant for, I believe it's, Rodney, is it 90 homes or 60 homes?
The new sewer, 48.
48.
48
so-
new homes will be connected.
So we'll have 48 new homes. We are really seeing the the revenues coming back. Again, though, we are getting close to capacity. We are waiting to see what's being funded. The funding usually comes out September, October from Swanee River. Right now, the spray fields or the wetlands and the expansion kind of have to go together, because if they do the expansion, there's not enough wetlands. So they really have to do them together. We got money for the wetlands, didn't get enough money. Mid-Tower doesn't seem to think. So they did resubmit a package to put it all as one project, which cuts down on your engineering and some of your other costs. So it did come in less. So we're hoping to find that out, I think, by December on that. You know, we made some adjustments on some of the revenues, but they're minor. You know, I did grinder pump repairs. It just depends on how many break down or how many people destroy theirs. I know since we did this budget, I know that I think Amy sent over a couple bills for $10,000 more. So
that's one what I wanted to bring up too, Jennifer. On what line item does it come out of when I buy new pumps? Because I'm losing so many through attrition. I just lost 28 pumps and I'm only putting 10 back. I can only do that so many times, and I've known David's done that in the past too. It's to the point where this probably is the best place at a budget workshop, but our commercial station's supposed to have 2 pumps in them. JC's got 1 pump in each commercial, and then we only have 10 that we pull from, brand new ones. So
well, you have some operating. There's operating supplies, new grinder pumps. We bumped it up last year, and you probably haven't spent but about half of it.
Operating, where is it? I guess I'm not seeing it.
It would be, it's on are you looking at the sewer fund, the operating expenditures?
Operating supplies. That's new grinder stations. I'm talking about ones that these pumps, they're not repairable anymore. So I've lost 28 of them in the last 6 months. So at some point, I need to replace these pumps. So I have some to pull. When people have issues, I pull them out, rebuild them. They get to a point where you can't rebuild them anymore. I've lost 28 of them. I only have 10 that I'm working from right now. And we've done this more than one time. So at some point, I need to have some money to, you know, I got 7 240 volt pumps and 3 110. So when they pull them out of the ground, we got 5 under the building that have been rebuilt numerous times. And then when they pull one out, that's what they do during the week, is rebuild these pumps. So
right, and there's 2 line items where you can get the new grinder pump. The money's there, and then there's also repairs and maintenance grinder pumps. We bumped both of those up last year because
what kind of money? I guess this is a new one. Do I have any of that left over? I have to look, but I'd like to spend some more of this money from this budget before we get to the new budget on.
If you want, Rodney, we can go look at this on Monday, and I can show you where you can get some money to do this.
Yeah, that's another thing that's going to get us in trouble if we don't pay attention to it too. Because I can get a lightning strike, and the ones that, like I'm saying, the ones that have been rebuilt numerous times, I could use every one of those plus the 10 I got, and then I don't have any left. And that's where I'm at there with the pumps right now. I need more pumps in wastewater.
Okay, well, let's get together on Monday and I'll show you where you can buy some.
All right, not a problem. That's it.
So any questions on sewer?
I had a couple under the expenditures, the contractual services year to date is at 73,837. I think that's the sludge they haul away, but we're only budgeting 35,203. I don't understand why we would not budget more. Contractual services is the category.
I will have to look at that. There's got to be something in there, Rodney, that,
You had 35,203, you had 35,203, and then what Nancy's saying, and we
yeah,
spent
this year is
73.
just really high. I'll have to look.
I mean,
I'll
that
have to-
may be that may have been
At one time,
all
yeah.
type of an expense, but we would need to know that.
Yeah, I will look at that.
And then
Are
on,
you asking why it increased? Is that what the question was? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
well, I'm asking why we're only budgeting 35,000 if we've already spent 73,000 year to date. So I'm questioning
Oh,
whether
okay.
we're
No, I
budgeting enough
understand.
in that category. Under utilities, we've spent year to date 62,921 and we're only budgeting 50,000.
Well, that's like Rodney was saying. That is because we've had to really run all these fans to keep the blowers going. Now, basically, we had you run 2 blowers. Now 1 blower will be able to do it.
Okay.
All right. And then down, if you go down that page, Jennifer, under the category that says depreciation, you show the buildings, sewer, improvement other than buildings, equipment, machinery, and then it says total capital outlay cost. Is that capital outlay or is it depreciation? I'm confused about what that total is.
That's depreciation.
Okay, so that's,
I was copying and pasting and sorry.
okay, and then down further under fixed assets, debt service, the actual capital outlay is under that category, the improvements other than buildings, that 1 million is the capital outlay that we're seeing on the next page. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And it's actually fixed assets, not capital outlay, because it is enterprise, but yes, that's your the new sewer connections.
The 48 homes that you just talked about.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So are you gonna be able to find money for training for him?
For what?
For training? Because you got 0 there?
Yeah, we'll find something. I will add training back in. Rodney, I can get with that. So that will be added in. Is that your recommendation?
It is, yeah. I
Mayor?
mean, I can do it. This year I can do it with 500.
Okay.
If you can give me 500 at least.
Okay, yeah. So Mayor, I will add per your request to put some training in.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. When did
Any more questions on sewer? No one speaking, okay. We're going next, Jennifer. Sewer waste, solid waste?
solid waste, and that's pretty much the same. We do have a little contingency in there that may be moved to the CPI depending on what y'all say about the rates, but there is contingency money there. And it can only be used in solid waste though. So keep that in mind.
Right.
Any questions on solid waste?
Okay. We're moving on.
One that, let's see, so the next is CRA. I just got a text from David. He apologized, but I guess he doesn't have the meeting number, but him and I did talk about his budget today. Basically, until we find out a little bit more and he has a chance to get to see what's going on with the CRA. We did not change a whole lot except for, maybe, we did change one of the things we discussed for the CRA to pay their admin fee to the general fund. So we did add that. But other than that, we did not make a lot of changes.
Okay, I see some problems with this because of the need to be under the 50% for operating costs. We've got salaries here. Our income is 186,790 total. So half of that would be 93,395. And if you take the salaries and the benefits along with the operating expenses, that's at 137,749. It's going to take us way over that 50% margin. And that's going to be, there's no way you can present this budget to the county on that renewal. It's not going to be accepted.
Well, the salaries for and the benefits for the maintenance person is not part of admin. That is to be taken out. So that's about 22,000, say. And you also have, did you count the 39,000 that we have to put in as well?
No, I did not count that as income because that is not income. It's the two contributions, the county and the city contribution along with the rent. So it's half of that number. It's not the 39,965. That's a repayment.
So some of this will have to be, those are events. So we have 51. I have to get the exact number. So we have 183, and we have roughly, so 35, 3,700 and 89681. And 3, 12, 13. So roughly we have 93,381. So we have the 51. We're going to have to get this. See, half your health insurance is going to come out. Half of all your benefits, well, not all of them, the big ones, will come out. So we're looking at 42. We need to get that number down to 42.
Can you give us a breakdown of that when you present the information for the CRA? The other thing is the Adobe Creative Cloud is probably going to be considered administrative. It's a capital outlay, but it would be something that would be used on the computer there. And I think that's going to be considered administrative.
Which one is that? I'm sorry.
It's on the capital page. It's the last line item, 3360, that GIS Adobe Creative Cloud.
And I'm going to be honest, I do not know enough about the CRA because Christina did it all. Okay. So I don't know Commissioner Lavin since, no, it was, I'm sorry, was it Commissioner Jones? That was, no. It was.
Oh, for what? I'm sorry.
For the CRA. That maybe somebody could sit down with me and go over what these projects were.
I wouldn't have that. Nancy would probably have that.
I'll be happy to get with you. I would have to do it by phone. I'll give you a call next week. I'm going to be traveling.
Okay.
Or email, we can connect, but I can give you.
Well, we have, let's see, the next, because it's going to have to go to the CRA first. So we have, I think that's September 10th. Jenny, is that right? Yeah, so we have to have the September. So if you're traveling, I would hate to do that.
No, it's okay. I'll be out of town until the 7th. I'll give you a call one day next week and okay. we can have a conversation about that. Okay.
Okay. And I'll have David in there because David needs to.
I'll set up because I'm not sure when I'll have phone or internet service, so I'll set that up with you in advance so David can be there, okay?
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
Jennifer,
Yes, ma'am.
the health insurance went up significantly, and I realized that we don't have a whole lot of control over that, but based on the fiscal year 2019-20 and this one, it's huge. There's like over $6,000 difference.
Well, the reason being is, if you remember, 60% of Christina was in planning and development. So 60%
Okay.
of her, and that's the big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the big part, but yes.
Okay. I don't have anything else.
Anyone else have anything on the CRA?
Mr. Mayor, I shared the Zoom link with Mr. Sutton. When he gets home, he's going to jump on. So if anyone has any questions, he can probably take them then.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Jennifer, let's move on.
Okay, farmer's market is pretty much the same. I think we were so we pretty much left everything. We are back having the farmer's market every week, and they, I think, are going to be doing it once the pavilion's done, maybe on Fridays. I think David was saying, but that would be something. But
I think they did say Fridays.
Yep. And so hopefully we'll get some more participation, because I think Latchwas is on Thursday, but that's
Right.
pretty much stayed the same. So I don't know if anybody has questions about the farmer's market. The pavilion sometime in next month is supposed to be done.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, isn't it?
It is.
Who would ever thought we'd get this far?
I didn't.
Where
You did,
and
and
where
you
would
did.
where will the utilities be? I mean, there's lights and so forth. Is there going to be any type of utilities that cost with that, or how will that be?
Yeah, there will be.
But there's nothing on here for utilities.
Okay, I will. Now,
Number two?
but historically, we've always put that under the parks, but I have to ask.
Well, I just want to make sure it's accounted for. If it's underneath the park, that's fine. The other thing is maintenance. I mean, you're going to have somebody go clean that place every now and then too, right? Is that just under parks too, the maintenance?
No,
Is it
that
gonna be in
that would be, but Carol will probably take care of that. She cleans up the area now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not sitting there and all of a sudden,
No, I hear you.
grass cut, we do that, right?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah, the parks guys do that.
right. Right, okay.
Uh,
Is that it?
Fire,
Anyone else?
fire now.
Fire, yeah. Bruce,
Or is next.
Are you all ready for fire?
yeah.
Yes.
All right, so currently with the way that this is structured, the fire department's looking at a $67,000 reduction. Of course, we talked about the $8,000 in training that's going back in the budget. Currently, the $22,000 going back in for the PIO. Reduction on the fire department coming in is going to be $37,000 with those additions going back in. Other than that, the fire department budget's unchanged. We look pretty good. Revenues with Alachua County should be stable coming in next year. Fire assessment numbers will probably be a little bit higher than what they currently are with the addition of new homes coming into the area that are getting CO'd. So depending on what our call volume looks like, that 330,000 seems to be true based off projection on the meeting I had with Alachua County. Any questions?
Bruce, I want to add too, your difference is we didn't ask, remember, about the grant
Yep,
money.
the grant, yes.
That's, yeah, we usually get about
Yeah, we took that.
35,000 in grant money, but we're not getting it this year.
Bruce, what is the machinery and equipment fire that's on the capital page?
That is going to be some fire hose. I got to buy fire helmets, boots, hoods, gloves this year coming up. We've got a grant that was just recently filled on some structural bunker gear for the firefighters that need to be replaced. A lot of this stuff's at its term limit and needs to be replaced. So that's going to be the majority of it. I got some fire hose and some fire foam as well to buy.
Hey, Jen, a question here, Bruce. The administrative assistant, I'm assuming that's Kevin, that's the half in fire?
Oh,
No, sir. That is Jamie,
That's-
our current administrative assistant. That's split part-time with Parks and Recs.
Okay, so explain to me again, where is Kevin's 50/50 coming, or is it all out of the?
No, okay,
Kevin will come. Go ahead, Jennifer.
I was just gonna tell him, I took it out. Remember, I had it in, but I took it out. So it'll be put back in. It'll be 12.5 under Bruce, 12.5 under city manager, and the rest under IT. When it gets
Okay.
back.
And it'll all be itemized as the PIO position, so we'll see that in each
Yes, sir.
budget? Okay,
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got for fire. If anybody has any more questions.
Anything else? Impacts?
That pretty much is based on what we get in impact fees versus what we spend. We, just so you know, there is money in here in the impact fund because it's divided by water and sewer. Now there's much more in water. And if you remember last year, we used some of the sewer to pay down some of the debt. But there is, I'm thinking close to 100,000 that's in water that can actually also go towards the well, to help with the well.
I want to bring something up and share with my fellow commissioners. After our last meeting, our last workshop, and I asked about the interest, I got some information from the city clerk. Back in the fall of 2018, I think it was the finance director brought to us to move part of the money in the accounts to the Florida Trust investment. And the board on the 11/27 meeting voted 4-1 to move that bond account to Florida Trust. And then on 12/13/18, we passed resolution 2018-BB to move those funds. And when I started asking these questions, I found out that staff didn't move the funds. The funds are still in the local bank and this was not executed. And I needed to make sure that the rest of this commission was aware of that. I sent a couple emails to the city attorney and not had any real response about that. And I just need you to know that we voted to move it. We passed a resolution and the funds did not get moved. So I'm just wanting to make you aware of that. That was supposedly the sewer impact fee fund is what I believe Jennifer told me this today when I talked to her about that item, okay?
It's actually the bond reserve. It's the last bond payment. Yes, at the time, management had made the determination incorrectly to not move the money because when the bank came back and said they would match it, Ameris came back and said they would match the rate. If it is the consensus of this commission to go ahead and move it, I apologize. I will see that it gets done.
I just wanted to bring it to the attention because I was a little shocked that it hadn't been done. I was the person that actually voted against moving it. But I felt like once we voted and once there was a resolution, I was concerned that it hadn't been done.
I don't remember specifically the conversation. I do remember that Ameris came back and said that they would match it. And I don't think that took care of any issues that we had about that. So it was my understanding that it was going to be moved as well.
Hmm. That's, we had an attorney on tonight. Can we talk about that?
Mr. Mayor, memories are going to be different. I thought, and I'm going to probably get this thing messed up on the deal. I know something was brought back and it was talked about that the local bank could match the deal. I thought at the time, and maybe I'm getting something confused, I thought we said, since it was going to match it, just leave it. I thought that came, so I may be confused on the deal, but I do remember we were talking about interest rates, and when the local bank came back and said they could match what was out there, instead of moving it, instead of going all over the place, I thought we said just leave it in the local bank type of thing. But I could have them mixed up with another issue.
I can't remember. I can't.
I imagine there's something somewhere that Jenny, do we have something somewhere that would indicate what we were supposed to do?
Yes, ma'am. We can go back and look in the minutes and see if there was anything where it was brought back to the commission to leave it in Ameris.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going to say that it was not brought back. It was discussed with former management that because some of the commissioners felt that we were matched. Was that incorrect? Probably. And do you all want to move it now? Like
We can't vote on anything in this meeting. I think we need more information before we can do
Yeah.
that.
Let's discuss it. Let's discuss it. Because we can't vote on that shit. You can't vote on it tonight, no way. So we'll.
If we double check the minutes and see what it says first.
Yeah. I don't know.
Jenny, you can get those to us.
yes, sir. We did a search on it one time and we provided those minutes to Commissioner Lavin, and I did not see anything past those where they came back to the commission, but we can look again to make sure.
Okay. Thank you.
And then when we'll discuss it, we can decide what we want to do. Leave it or move it. All right, anything else? Okay, building, I guess, building department.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is.
Hello. Building department, sorry, I couldn't get my computer to work. Really nothing's changed other than we went up a little bit on building permits. D.R. Horton's doing a lot. They're exercising some additional property. There's a lot of things going on in the building department. It's going to be quite crazy. As I expressed earlier, my only real concern with this is travel and training being zeroed out with having a new building official coming in, with our permit tech needing some additional training. But I believe we can move some stuff around throughout the year to offset that. Also with revenue, historically with this department, looking at the revenues we're at right now, we're going to be over what we projected. So I think we'll be okay in that area. We'll just have to be careful and discuss it throughout the year and make sure we make smart decisions.
And Bruce, if you look, there's $3,000 in contingency that I can move up to training and travel.
Yeah, I saw that. I figured that's one thing we would do. So we should be okay.
Jennifer, can I ask you a couple of questions here? The conditional use permit fees that are under here for 200, won't that go to a planning line item? That won't stay in building department, will it?
I thought, Bruce, could you answer that? I thought that was it.
conditional use is going to go to planning now. That's just where we got to break it out. That was one of the things I needed to talk to you about next week that I noticed, but it was a last minute thing tonight I noticed. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'll move it to planning.
And then the other thing is if you go to the expenditure pages, the legal advertisement, wouldn't they also fall under planning? That would be when we're doing land use changes, that needs to go to the planning department.
There's going to be some coming out of building, but a good chunk of that. Actually, I think we did up the one in planning as well. But
Yeah.
there's going to be some in the building department that are required also.
Okay.
Yeah, you had me put that in there, Bruce.
And you're
Yes.
gonna put some training money in there. I had that one highlighted. Thank you.
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we're
move
gonna-
it to, go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to move some stuff around. We're going to look at that contingency, and then I don't know that we'll need quite that much for legal advertisement. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's in there just with some of the requirements we got. So we should be good.
Anything else? On building department. All right, and none. Anything else need to come about the budget?
There's a question from one of the persons that's watching. Maybe Kevin can read it here from Ross Ambrose.
All you gotta do is hit your chat button. You can read it for yourself if you want to.
When Rodney leaves, do we have funds to hire his replacement in advance of his leaving? Someone that has the permits and the certifications that we need to have? I guess Rodney's planning on leaving before the end of this budget year.
That would be,
I was just going to tell them that David Benton has also turned in his resignation. He will be leaving also. And Mr. DeCoursey had wanted to replace them with a public works director. And we're going to try to get someone with the license needed.
Thank you.
Yes, we have to have somebody with a license. So there's no way possible. It's a must. State.
Oh,
So we,
definitely.
ain't no question about that. So we have to do.
We are losing 2 great employees.
Yes.
Yes, we
I
are.
can tell you,
Mhm.
I can tell you, water and wastewater operators are becoming very scarce. And you'll probably end up going with twofold engineering, who we're doing with the wastewater right now. I'm training Jason Keitel. Hopefully he can get his C-level license. He'd be a great replacement for me. He's been working with me for last year. And I mean, without him, I couldn't have accomplished a lot of things I've accomplished out there. But yeah, to get both of them, you're really going to have to open up the pocketbook if you're going to get a dual licensed operator to take over both plants.
Mhm.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
Mayor, could we ask the city manager at the next meeting to give us like a summary or rundown of these positions and just basically where we're at planning wise to replace them, just so we have an idea?
Yes, I think he's working on that already.
Okay. If you could bring something in city manager's comments to basically let us know the status of where we're at, advertising, that whole bit, just to keep us, so we understand what's going on.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, he's aware of it.
Yes, I know he is. I'd like something out there so people know we're actually actively doing something. Thank you.
Sir. All right. You're welcome. So anything else?
Do we have anyone else online who needs to ask questions or make comments?
Mr. Mayor, if you want to open up the floor for public comment, we'll just ask that anyone watching via Zoom uses the raise their hand function.
Yes. Okay. That's fine.
All right. The mayor has opened up for public comment. If you would like to speak to the commission, please raise your hand within Zoom and I'll bring you into the room.
On budget matters, on the budget.
Right.
Mr. Mayor, I see no hands raised.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so our next meeting will be Thursday, September the 10th, and that'll be the first budget hearing. Am I correct, Jennifer?
It depends. Is everybody comfortable with these budget hearings that they have? If they're not, if they want to go back over it, we could actually have another budget workshop between now and the budget hearing if necessary.
I'm okay,
Okay.
Will you
but I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, I'd like to have something with all the revisions and
Right.
everything done, even if we're in there for a half an hour to where we can look at it prior to when we're meeting at the commission meeting. I'd rather be able to ask our questions, clarify things, get it done. So when we go to the commission meeting, we've already had our questions answered. So I would like to schedule another one, hour at the max, just to sort of clean this baby up.
Okay,
So when can you get us the edited version? Because having that time to review it is critical, so that we can direct the questions maybe to you or to other staff and maybe get our questions answered beforehand too. So if you could get us that finalized edited version as soon as possible, that would be greatly appreciated.
You'll have it by next Thursday, the 27th. And then if you want to have time to look over it, that gives you time to have the following week to have a meeting, if you choose to have a short meeting.
So we want to schedule something now. Can we do that?
You can.
Tell us when, Jenny.
We are open just about any night that the commission wants to have it. We can have it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, anytime.
Tuesdays are not good for me.
Tuesdays are not.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, we could do it Thursday the 3rd.
well, he said Tuesdays. Did you say Tuesdays was good for you?
I meant Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. What is it? Thursday's the what?
The 3rd. It's a week before the
Yeah.
first budget hearing.
I'm good
That's
with
good for me.
You said September?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong calendar here.
Do we have a meeting next Thursday, Jenny?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, we do.
Okay.
And I sent out an email that normally I send out the agenda packets on Thursday before, but they won't be going out until Monday this time.
I am probably going to miss your meeting next Thursday. I am finally going to go and have this knee of mine done. So that's where I expect to be next week.
what are you gonna have done?
My knee
I know, you're gonna have it.
replaced.
Aha. Okay,
Best of luck on that, Gloria.
Thank you.
yes, absolutely.
So September 3rd, Mr. Mayor, is that Thursday?
Yeah, I had something planned, but we can go for that one though. That's fine. That's fine. We'll do it. What time?
6:30?
6:30.
So it's probably take maybe 30 minutes.
I'm hoping if we get it in time, we can look at it. I just like for all of us to be there. And if we need any clarification, we can go at 6 o'clock, Mr. Mayor, if you need me, if that would help you.
That'd be fine with me. We can go at 6 if everybody else fine with everybody
That
else.
would make it easier for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm good with 6.
So
Okay.
I'm going to be traveling for the next couple weeks and I'm not sure when and where I'll have internet. So I will try. I'm taking my computer, but I'm not
Okay.
certain that I'll have access to internet where I'm going, okay?
Okay.
I'll email questions if I have them to staff, okay?
So 6 p.m. we're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so September 3rd at 6.
Okay, 6 p.m.
Very good.
That'll work. Okay. Anything else? Mr. Manager, you have anything?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. So if there's nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Meeting adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.